Dragons have long since been a part of human culture. They're a symbol of power and evil in Europe and of strength and luck in East Asia. The history of dragons is typically not investigated by people, more than likely because they have already heard multiple stories of them. I myself enjoy reading and writing stories of dragons, but as a child I didn't really think much about their history and just accepted them as mythological creatures. But of course that begs the question, what is the history of dragons and what are they to each culture? The origin of the first dragon myth is a bit ambiguous. Europe and Asia have different versions of dragons, so the myths have developed independently in each culture. Many historians and cryptologists believe that the first dragon legends were created based on real-life animals, such as crocodiles, snakes, and even whales. It may have also been the discovery of dinosaur fossils, which happened to a Chinese historian around the 4th century BC. Seeing such massive creatures, or remains of massive creatures, in ancient times must have certainly caused great fear, since humans are instinctively fearful of what we do not understand. Human fear of a strange animal is the most plausible explanation as to how the first dragon myths were created. Now, the first dragon myth itself is hard to pin down. Multiple cultures across multiple centuries have created numerous stories of dragons. Some of them are so old no one is sure of where they originated or when. One such myth states that any weapon dipped in dragon blood would rend a never-ending wound on its target. Another is that drinking dragon blood would grant a human the ability to see the future. However, there are still quite a few myths and legends of ancient cultures that we are aware of. The Mashushu was an ancient dragon of the Mesopotamian culture that was thought to be an attendant of the gods. Apep was an Egyptian deity that embodied chaos and destruction and was depicted as a great serpent. Other ancient dragons include Vitra in the Rigveda, the Leviathan in the Bible, the Lemnian Hydra in Greek mythology, and the unnamed dragon of Beowulf. These texts show that dragons must have been a part of prominent mythology all over the world. So, what kinds of dragons do we have today? It seems like a simple question, but it's actually quite complex. Eastern dragons haven't changed much over the centuries, while Western dragons have taken on more and more different appearances and different abilities over the centuries. The Eastern dragon, or the Chinese dragon, is, as it's commonly referred to, despite the fact that it doesn't originate in China or Chinese mythology. They are typically long and serpent-like in appearance and do not have wings like their Western counterpart, but are still able to magically fly. They are considered lucky and benevolent with the ability to cause rain and change weather. Because of the Asian culture and their reliance on agriculture in the past, the dragons were worshipped and revered. Western dragons, on the other hand, were closer to large lizards with wings and typically had rough scales and spikes. Western dragons have traditionally been seen as evil creatures with the ability to breathe fire. In most European fairy tales, dragons are often guarding a princess or maiden and are then slayed by a heroic rescuer. Iconic villain dragons include Smaug from Tolkien's The Hobbit, or Alduin from Skyrim, made by Bethesda Studios. While dragon legends and myths have been around as long as humans have, a good deal of their history is either unrecorded or just shrouded in mystery. They have been around since ancient times, inspired by animals and our own fear, yet we know so little about them. Whether it's the benevolent dragons of the East or the monsters from the West, dragons instill both fear and wonder in people. As we continue into the future, perhaps we will learn more of their history and more myths, legends, and stories of dragons will come to life.